Good morning, everybody. Excuse me. My name is Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. Listen, I'm your interest cancellation expert, um, or ICE. They call me ICE for short. But listen, we're going to be getting into some things today. You don't want to be distracted when it comes to your finances. And I know it's been a while since we've gone live, but we've been putting together new information for you. This is why we've had replays up so many times, because you deserve to get good information. So, right now, we're going to be talking about distractions today. And what, what is good may very well turn out to be a distraction. So now let me name some of these things for you today. Okay. A high credit score could be a distraction to you eliminating debt. Yes, it could be. And so I'm going to be pulling up the comments here from you all, and I'm going to be looking for information from all of you. And some of you can even come in live. I'm going to have the link pinned to, we're going to put this link up. Let me put this link up right now so that if you want to come in live, you can. Let me see here. There we go. And here it is. So it's pasted at the top of the page if you're watching us on YouTube. So you could be watching us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I am looking forward to talking with you all today. So, high credit score, low interest rates. Can you imagine? Everyone with a low interest rate would think, I don't need anything else but the low interest rate. I can just do what I need to do because I'm going to be paying a lot less interest anyway. Listen, folks, people with a low interest rate can pay 75 to 80% more interest than they need to pay. And I want to welcome you to this live today. Oh, I can't listen. I can't wait to jump into some of this today. It has been a while since I've been live. Let me adjust my seat right quick here. Hold on. There we go. All right. Sit up a little higher. All right. So let's see here. You may not have problems paying your bills. Some people don't have problems paying their bills at all, but that could be a distraction from what you really need to be doing. Okay. Some people have jumbo mortgages, $750,000 in mortgages, and or up, maybe even $1 million. If you can afford $1 million mortgage or a $500,000 mortgage or $1.5 million in mortgages, you may not think that you need interest cancellation. You may not think that you need anything that will help you to save money. But I'm telling you, who wants to pay 75 to 80% more interest than they need to? Real estate investors, oh my gosh, you have enough money going on here. You have enough going on where you can actually invest in real estate. You're making big money in real estate, and you may think that you don't need to you may think you don't need to do anything else except make that money. What if you're leaving millions of dollars on the table by not paying attention to how much interest you're actually paying? Not the interest rate, folks. Interest rate is a distraction. I'm talking about interest cost. And if you have a question or a comment, tell me where you're listening from right now. Tell me where you're watching from. Put it in the chat. I'm right here in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're going to be jumping into this and showing you some things today. You may have plenty of money in the bank. Do you know I meet people all the time that have plenty of money in the bank and they don't think that they need anything extra to help them to either save money or make money. Everything is going well for them. That, my friends, is a distraction. Okay. How about um, simple solutions? You can pay extra anytime you want on your credit cards, on your student loans, on your mortgages. I know people who don't pay any credit card interest at all. They pay off their credit cards every single month. Ladies and gentlemen, in some cases, even paying off your credit cards every single month can be a distraction because we're not focused on where the major interest cost actually is. You're looking at the rate. You're looking at how people feel about um, uh, 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 credit cards and how you've been taught to feel about credit cards, but you have not haven't taken a good look at your finances as a whole and why we are paying the way that we're paying and why we've been taught to pay the way that we have been taught. So listen, folks. I have some people in here right now. All right, you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook. All right, go ahead and put in the comment section where you are watching us from. What state are you from? Come on, put it in there. Let me see it. Type it in there. I want to be able to see this. Okay. So I'm going to put in here, I'm going to start it with Huntsville, Alabama. There we go. Right here, Huntsville, Alabama. All right. Oh, look at that. I hit a I I hit the wrong button. Let me take that out. Let me put it in again. All right. There we go. Huntsville, Alabama. All right. So tell me where you're watching us from. I would love to see you on Facebook. I would love to see you on commenting on YouTube. I would love to see you commenting on LinkedIn and Instagram. So let me jump right in and pull up some information here as to why it is important for us to know exactly what's going on with our finances. All right. So let me pull this up. Okay. I need to put this on here. And all right. So we need to share this screen. So how do I get? All right. There we go. Going to add that to the screen. There we go. All right, folks. Here's an amortization schedule. Okay. And there is a reason why we don't know what we should know about this thing. You need to learn how to read it. How to read an amortization schedule is so important on borrowing money. Borrowing money, you don't want to be just a borrower. You want to be a strategist. How can we be intentional about borrowing money so that we can do it at a much lower interest cost? Now, don't forget to tell me where you're from. So I've got we're going to put in a $400,000 mortgage right now at 6%. There it is. Now, why is this important? Because of how the system is oriented. A 30-year mortgage is just a tool, it is not a mandate. A 30-year mortgage does not mean take 30 years to pay it off. A 30-year mortgage, on average, should be able to be paid off in 7 to 9 years by most people. Okay, but we're fixated on 30 years because that's what we hear, that's what we see, and we know people who have been in debt for that much time or even longer. So we begin to think and feel that that is the norm. Folks, that is so far from the truth. We don't want to be stuck in a 30-year loan forever. All right, I'm getting some more people in here, but I'm not seeing where you're from. Go ahead and post it where you're from, okay? And I know you're used to me being having this being replay, but I'm telling you, today is Monday, July 27th, and we are actually live. So I need you to come into the studio and talk to me, or at least put it in the chat. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at why this is important, why we are not taught how this works. Because of this, it is a huge, huge interest cost here on $400,000. The total interest paid on for 30 years is $463,352. Folks, that means when you add it to the principal, how much you borrowed, that's $863,000 paid back. I don't know anyone who wants to pay $863,000 for their $400,000 home. It is not necessary. How can we avoid that? And why is it this way? Because most banks don't make a dime from mortgage interest. I see you, Tina Humphrey from let's see, she's from Ohio. All right, let's put that on the screen. Okay. Tina Humphrey from Ohio. Let me put that on the screen. There we go. All right. So who else is here? So Tina, what I'm going over today is not just interest rate. I want us to get away from thinking about these things in the traditional sense. I need you to see that the true interest cost and rate on this loan is 115.838%, not 6%, 115.838%. This number here, this number, I'm sorry, this number is 115.83% of the $400,000. We are conditioned to pay more in interest than we borrowed in principal. On top of what we borrowed, they want us to pay back 463,000. So, folks, that is one house for the bank and one house for you. Is anybody interested in paying and buying houses for the bank? Or do you want to be able to invest in your equity, own your asset at 75 to 80% off? How would you like to have a coupon that says, I want 75% off on the cost of borrowing money? You don't have to pay full price. It is not necessary. It is not mandatory. Now, what I'm going to be showing you today is just a little something about what can be a distraction. And right now, I want to talk about having a high credit score so I can get a lower interest rate. I'm going to show you how having that distraction can actually cost you to pay more than you need to pay. You want to set your loan up so that it will help you pay less interest. Write this down if you're taking notes. Okay, write this down if you're taking notes. You have to control the principal payment if you want to control the loan. Interest payments I skip don't matter. So position yourself to control the principal payment. So therefore, getting the lowest interest rate possible can cause you to pay more interest than you need to pay. Now, Don, how does that even work? How does that even work? So I've got a 6% loan. And I want to show you something here. Just take a look at the principal payment. The principal payment is $398 here on line one. It's $400.19 on line two. This is how much goes to principal. I need you to not get distracted by how much goes to interest, because the interest payment is just a distraction. Don't get distracted by that. Look at how much you owe and how to position yourself to give the bank back their money in a way which makes it impossible for them to charge you interest. It's all about that. It has never been anything but that. We have been taught to borrowing money is bad, it's evil, it's the wrong thing to do. But leveraging, how can I leverage the bank's money to get a big benefit like my house, my education, or my car? But I want to pay them 50, 75, 80% less than what they're asking for, which means my effective interest rate, meaning when it's all said and done, looking at how much interest I actually paid, the math works out to about 1% or less. I can borrow money at 1% or less if I know the rules to the game. Okay. I don't know if you're a soccer fan, but people who are watching FIFA and the World Cup, and you would see that the one of the players was running ahead of all the other players, and he's called offside because he went ahead too soon. You can be to me that seems like the right thing to do. I want to beat everybody down the field so I have a better chance to score, but they call it offsides and call the ball back. So I don't know all the rules to the game. Folks, we are taught not to know the rules to this game. Okay? So I've got I've got 398.20. I've got $400 here. Now, how this works is how we're charged. And I need you to realize how we're charged. So I'm going to put a calculator on the screen. Okay. Here's my calculator. So we're going to take that 6% interest point. Let's clear this off. 0.06. Okay. Divided by 12. And it comes up. Okay. That's not right. Okay. 0.06 divided by 12. There it is, 0.005. This is the number. If you have an interest rate of 6% on your mortgage, this is the number that's used every single month. So we don't take 6% and multiply it by the whole balance. What makes this so costly, it is set up so you need to pay interest on the unpaid balance every single month. What you have control over is how many months you actually have to do that. How can I position myself to pay fewer months than 360 payments? Here's how. Okay, so when I take that $400,000 and then multiply it by my 0.005, okay, we're going to multiply that by 400,000 right there, equals $2,000 in interest. That's how they do it. Now, the rest of that goes to principal to buy back your equity. You're buying your equity back. The bank bought your equity on this loan. So they bought the equity in your house and you're buying it back in the most inefficient way possible. We're buying it back. All right. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. All right. If you want to come online with me, all right, click the link. Okay, click the link and you'll be able to come online. All right. Let me put that, I'm going to put that link in there one more time for all the new people that are coming on. Okay. There it is. All right. Click that link. You can put it in, you can use um, YouTube or Facebook, and you can come in you can come in to the show live. You can come into the show live if you want to and ask your question. You can be right on stage with me, okay? Or you can type your question in the comment section and we'll go from there, okay? So, so we're now, I'm now going to show you that the $398.20 is actually subtracted from the $400,000. So now you have a balance of 399,601.80. And then the banks use that number. Okay, bring that back. Okay, so we're going to clear this again. We're going to do 399,601. Okay, and 80 cents. And then we're going to multiply it by, remember, it is your interest rate divided by 12. And in this case, it's a 6% interest rate divided by 12 gives us 0.005. Okay, 0.005 equals 1,998 and a penny. You see here? And a penny. So that's how it works. So every month the bank sees an unpaid balance, they get to charge you a ton of interest. So and they have to use the number that they see. So you want to control what they see. So here's a simple idea about prepayment. So if I pay let's say I pay my mortgage here in January, then my February principal payment is $400.19. Now, do you have to wait till February to give the bank that $400.19 if you make your full mortgage payment in January? No, you don't. You don't. You can, if you wanted to, if you had it available, you can prepay this $400. And because you've already paid interest in January, this $400 has to go to principal. So now you're paid down. So you subtract the 398.20 and the $400.19, and you're paid down to here in January. So you're paid down to 399,201.61. So the bank has to use that number to charge you interest now, not the 399,601. So let's do that. So we're going to put in 399,201, okay, and 61 cents, okay, times 0.005. And that equals 196, okay? And right here, did I do something wrong? I did think I did. Nope, nope, 196.01. There it is. 196. We dropped down to the third line. So what happened? I paid this mortgage payment. I prepaid a little bit of money here. So I have to drop down to this line here and I skip right over this interest payment. So each month I make a mortgage payment on time, I'm buying my equity at this cost. Almost $2,000 just to buy $400 worth of equity to pay down my loan. But if I give them the money early when they're not expecting it, when they're not expecting it, look here, I give them this when they're not expecting it, they can't charge me interest. I get the equity for free. How many of you want to get your equity for free? Put it in the chat. Put a number 9 in the chat right now if you want to get your equity for free and stop paying the bank all of that money. Can I get some number 9s in the chat? Put it in the comment section right now. Number 9s. Okay. I want to see them. I want to see what you got for me here. Okay. I want to see that. Come on, put it in there. Put the number 9 if you want to. Listen, we don't want to have to pay all of this interest. So getting a high credit score so I can get a lower interest rate can be a distraction, because now what I'm going to do is duplicate this tab. Okay. And get rid of this advertising. All right. Duplicate this tab, and I'm going to bring this down by 2 points. So we're going to make a 4% loan. Okay. And then execute that. There we go. Now my payment is lower. Look at this. Look at my payment. I got $23.98 here. I have $19.0966 here. So that's why we want to get a lower interest rate. But look at my principal payment at the higher interest rate. Look at my principal payment at the lower interest rate. Look, it jumps up to $578.25. Why is that important? Because at the beginning of the loan, the interest costs are higher, but the principal payments are smaller. So it takes less money, or leverage, it takes less money to get rid of more payments and more interest. I need you to look at cumulative principal. This is all the principal payments added up. $4,912.02. If you want to get rid of 1 year off this mortgage from the very beginning, prepay $4,912.02. So therefore, if you do that, it doesn't cost $23,866.38 to pay down your loan to this point. If you give them this money when they're not expecting it, you're paid down to here in 1 month. You skip all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12, and it doesn't cost you $23,800 to get here. You knock off 1 year off this loan with $4,912.02 prepaid. 1 year is gone. Okay. And now all you have to pay is $2,000 in interest to pay it down to here, not $23,800. But when you lower the interest rate, it is not $4,900 that pays it down to there anymore. It takes $7,000 to prepay. $7,000 to prepay now. You want to be able to get a better understanding of this, folks. It's going to take more than my videos here. You may want to get some coaching. You may want to do this. Go to ceodon.com, ceodon.com. Okay. And then you'll see a button there that says get a savings and earnings report. If you would like to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free, go to ceodon.com and click on that button that says get a savings and earnings report. We'll tell you the month, day, and year you can be debt free. And once we tell you that, then we can go into detail about your situation and how you can become part of the P.I.L.L Method family to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years. Okay. So now I just showed you why most people want a high credit score so that they can get a lower interest rate. But getting a lower interest rate can actually make it harder to pay off the loan cheaper and faster. Now, I'm going to give you one more example here. One more example. Okay. And this, I'd like to finish this segment off with. Okay. So in the 70s, the median home price was $70,000, but interest rates got as high as 18%. Oh my gosh, 18%. So I want to show you something. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying go out and get an 18% mortgage. All right. I'm not saying that at all. You don't want the highest interest rate available. You don't want the lowest interest rate available. You want the right interest rate for you. And folks, I know some of you are going to call the office. As sure as I'm sitting here, you're going to call the office and say, what interest rate do I need? And our first answer is going to be, we don't know what you need. It is not one answer for everybody. We want a silver bullet. We want a heuristic or a rule of thumb that works for everybody, something that's easy. And that can be a distraction too. That's coming up a little bit later in the show. But don't get distracted by easy. Don't get distracted by trying to find out what is the one thing that everybody can do. This is all individual. You have individual circumstances. You have individual finances. You have individual things that pop up. You have individual type loans. Your financial picture does not look like everybody else's. So you need a program that is specifically designed for you. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, so now here's 18%. Here's the payment. I don't need you to see how this breaks down. If you don't know how to read this can be discouraging. Okay, the payment is $1,054.96. But how much interest does the bank want on a $70,000 loan at 18% if you keep it for 30 years? And again, folks, if you go into this thing strategically, if you go into this thing intentionally, you can go into a 30-year mortgage knowing how many years you actually want to pay on this thing. Most of our clients pay off in about 7 years. What if you went into this intentionally with the idea is not only can I do it, I will do it, and I will not leave myself without cash while I'm doing it. See, P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Growing your liquidity while you're getting out of debt, while you're saving a ton of interest. Oh my gosh. I love talking about this. But if we do it the bank's way, they want $309,785.60 interest on the $70,000 loan back then in the 70s, which means total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 442.5%. Crazy if you don't know how to read it. So I'm going to pull this down here so that you can see how these payments are structured. And I need you to see this and believe it when I tell you. If we take that 18%, okay, 0.018, divide it by 12. This is the number that they were using, 0.00015. And then we multiply that by the 70,000. Okay, by 70,000, it equals the first interest. I've messed that up. Okay, let me see. 70. Okay, we had the interest rate. Let's do that again. Okay, clear this. Our interest rate is 0.0 0.018. Okay. And we divide it by 12. Okay. 0.0015 times 70,000 equals, you know what? I left out a zero. That's what I did. 0.0018. Okay. Because it's 2 digits. Ugh, I messed that up. So sorry about that, folks. 0.0018 divided by 12. Okay. That is our number, 0.00015. And now we multiply that times 70,000 equals, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I, 0.18 times divided by 12. Sorry. I know somebody's yelling at the screen. Listen, I never said math was my strong suit. My strong suit is recognizing the pictures and the patterns. Okay. 0.018 divided by 12. Okay. And now we're going to multiply that by 70,000. There we go. Okay. 1,050. Okay. $1,050. So that is how that's done. So that's what they're figuring. Okay. So if I do that, then what's left from my payment is only $4.96 to go to principal, which means my new mortgage payment is here. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll do that one more time. Okay. So we will take the 0.015, and now we're going to multiply it by the first principal balance, which is 69,995 times 69,995 and 4 cents equals 1,049.93 right here. So how do we manage this? How are we supposed to look at this? If I make my first mortgage payment and only $4.96 goes to principal and over $1,000 goes to interest, my next principal payment is only $5.03, which means if I prepay the $5, if I give the bank the $5 in the same month I make my regular mortgage payment, I'm actually paid down to here, and they have to use that number and multiply it by this number, which will give me the payment on line 3. So $5.03 prepaid will save me over $1,000 in interest because of this high interest rate. Am I saying go out and get an 18% rate? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that some of you have parents and grandparents that actually paid this mortgage off because they had a high interest rate. And we're wondering, why in the world can we not pay off a loan at 6 or 7 or 3 or 4% when they had a 12 to 18% rate back then? It is because that 12 to 18% rate gave them such a low principal payment, which gave them more leverage to get rid of interest and payments. You see, leverage means what is the least amount I can pay or the least amount of energy I can put into something that's going to give me the greater benefit. So by by adding up all the principal payments in 1 year, it comes to $64.67. So literally, after making the first payment, they could pay an extra $64.67 and eliminate 1 year from this mortgage and save them nearly $12,000 in interest they never have to pay. They're paid all the way down to here in 1 month if they give them the 64.67 up front. What would happen if they gave them $142 up front? Would knock off 2 years. $234 up front would knock off 3 years. $345 up front would knock off 4 years. And a total of $477.20 paid on day one of this mortgage would knock off 5 years and save $62,000 in interest. Oh my gosh. So, folks, don't get fooled by a high credit score, okay, or low interest rates. It is not to your advantage when you don't know how to read an amortization schedule so that you can position yourself to save a lot of money. So we're here to help you. Go to ceodon.com. We're here to help you. Go to ceodon.com and get a savings and earnings report today. All right. And know the month, day, and year you could be debt free on all of your debt. The average family has 13 different debts. Don't let that bother you. The average family is paying 35 to 39% of their income on interest alone. Don't let that bother you. Some of you have very high interest rates. Don't let that bother you. Okay. Some people have a lot of student loans. Don't let that bother you. If you are paying your bills, whether you make a lot of money or a little bit of money, it doesn't matter. You want to be able to pay a lot less interest. Don't let these distractions fool you. Just because you are a high income earner, you don't need to learn about interest cancellation and a AI system, our opportunity cost calculator, that can save you a ton of interest by doing all of the math and directing you like financial GPS as to how much money to pay, what month to pay it in, what day of the month to pay it on, and which loan to attack to save the maximum amount of interest possible. Okay. Listen, somebody says here, I don't have problems paying my bills. Okay. I don't have problems paying my bills. Okay. Yeah, that's good. You make plenty of money. You don't have problems. You know, I was walking down the street one day here in Huntsville, and that at the time I was advertising on television, and somebody recognized me. And when they recognized me, they said, the P.I.L.L guy, the P.I.L.L method guy. And they said, we see you every single morning while we're getting ready for work. I said, well, you haven't called me. And they said, we make plenty of money. we do okay paying our bills. Guess what? They're paying 75% more interest than they need to because they misunderstood what I was talking about. They assumed that the P.I.L.L method exists for people who are in financial trouble. The P.I.L.L method exists for people who have finances, period. If you have finances, if you're making money, if you have money, you want to be able to leverage what you have so that you can pay less to get more. That is how we're oriented. That's how we buy gas. That's how we buy food. That's how we buy tires. That's how we buy houses. We want to pay less, but we want to get more. We negotiate things down all the time. We negotiate things down except interest cost. We'll negotiate on an interest rate, but we have no concept of what that means to how much interest we'll actually end up paying over time. None, no idea. So we're here to tell you. So I don't have a problem paying my bills, Don. I don't have, let me take this, off the screen here. Okay. All right. I want to look you straight in the eye. Okay. You're telling me I don't have a problem paying my bills. I don't have a problem. We make plenty of money. We got plenty of money in the bank. All of those things are a distraction. Whether you have a lot of money in the bank or a little bit of money in the bank, don't let that keep you from saving interest. If you're paying all of your bills and you don't have a problem with that, or you're barely squeaking by, don't let any of that distract you from learning how to save interest on your loans. We have been given these loans to student loans, credit cards, car loans, mortgages, business loans. It doesn't matter what if they're charging you interest. You need to know, you need to be able to measure how much interest you are paying so that you can measure how much interest you can save while at the same time growing your wealth. You can grow your wealth and pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years. Folks, I've been talking about this for 20 years. You can Google P.I.L.L method today. Google P.I.L.L method, and you'll find out that we have an A+ rating with Better Business and no complaints. Oh my gosh, because we guarantee your results. If somebody wants to use our program, we will guarantee your results. So what about simple solutions, Don? What about simple solutions? Okay. So let me see what we've done here. Okay. We've been on about 47 minutes. Simple solutions. Like, Don, we know that we can pay extra. We know that we can level up our payment. We can pay an extra $100 or $200 or $300. How many of you have paid extra on a loan, but you have no idea how much interest you just saved because the bank didn't tell you? They don't send you a receipt that says, here is how much interest you just saved. And do you know what's worse? It never even occurred to us to ask. How much interest did I save? How much time did I save? Because see, you can't optimize what you can't measure. We've been taught not to measure interest cost. Okay. I call it interest consumption in my book. By the way, you can get the P.I.L.L method book on Amazon. All right. Let me plug that right there. Okay. So if you want to get a good book on this, out of 30 million different titles on Amazon, the P.I.L.L method book is the only one that even begins to describe how amortization works and how you can defeat it. So watch the videos. Can I get you to give this video about 1,000 likes? I listen, get it up to 1,000 likes. Okay. Subscribe to our channels and comment on the videos. If you do that, that helps the algorithm and it gets this information out to more people. I have been studying this for the last 20 years and giving this information out so people who want to know, who deserve to know the truth, can know the truth about their loans. Okay? So simple solutions like the debt snowball or the avalanche methods. They work, but they don't measure outcomes. You see, without measuring outcomes, you can't bake a cake without measuring. Okay? You can't, there's some things you just can't do without measuring. Try building a house without measuring. Try try building a skyscraper, an office building without measuring. Try building a bridge without measuring. None of it is done without measuring. And folks, we have been taught not to measure our finances. We've been given simple instructions. And because these simple instructions get repeated over and over and over again, we think that's all there is. These simple instructions. How can we get this information out? How can you help me get this information out so that people can know that they're paying 75 to 80% more interest than they need to? Stop focusing on programs that just get you out of debt. They're okay. But what's really important? Stop giving all your money to the bank. Stop getting distracted about looking at credit scores or interest rates. I'm looking at my notes here. I got a high income. I don't have problems paying my bills. I've got, I could afford a jumbo mortgage, Don. Why do I need to even worry about that? Okay. I'm investing in real estate. Why do I even need to worry about interest cancellation or interest cost? I've got plenty of money in the bank, paying my bills on time. Why do I need to worry about it? Because some of you have actually noticed I have a high credit score, but I'm paying too much interest. Some of you have noticed, and you want a different way out. Okay. Some of you have low interest rates, but you realize that wasn't really helping you. Some even refinance to lower interest rates, and you realize, you know what? 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, we're still in almost as much debt as we were in before the refinance. Something was not working. We notice something is up. We just don't know what it is. Okay. Some people can afford a jumbo mortgage, and they finally took a look at their statement and said, I'm paying this small amount to pay down my loan, but my interest cost every single month is $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or even $5,000 in interest every single month while I'm trying to buy my home with small amounts of principal, and you're tired. You're tired of it. And you want to do something different. Well, we're here to help you to do something different. Don't just focus on simple things like paying off the smaller debts first or the higher interest rates first and work your way down. Don't just look at that. The goal here is to understand interest cost and how to minimize it. Pay less interest, get out of debt faster. Pay more interest, stay in debt longer. I will repeat that. Pay less interest, get out of debt faster and cheaper. Pay more interest, stay in debt longer, and it costs you more money. Stop spending your children's inheritance on interest. It is not necessary. And said, well, Don, we have to pay more to use these concepts you're talking about. It's not more. It's the money you borrowed. Folks, if you borrow $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, you have to pay that back. Why not figure out a way to pay back the money you owe on your own terms so you can make it impossible for the bank to charge you all of that interest? You're not paying more, you're paying what you owe on your terms. You are in control. letting the banks control how you think about your money. Folks, I'm just trying to get the word out. We're helping as many people as we possibly can. Our whole team is here to help you. We're going to be doing more and more lives to come back and talk about some things. So the next live, listen, somebody was talking about money may not be a spiritual subject to be talked about in church. I think we need to cover that. Do you think we need to cover that? Do you think we need to talk about that? Is money is how we handle our money? Is being a good steward of our finances, is that something that can be talked about in church or should be talked about in church? I don't know. Let's talk about that. Maybe that could be a goal. Somebody else talked to me about how to restructure a loan, recast a loan. Maybe we'll do a show on recasting. We'll do a show on recasting as well. Recast a mortgage after some time. Let's talk about that. Is that something that can be helpful? What are some of the tools out there that can actually help us? I'm here to tell you, most of what you learned about finances your entire life, most of it cost you way more money than you need to pay. Some of you have learned how to make large down payments on your loans. That costs you money if you make a large down payment on your loan. Buying down the mortgage rate, that costs you money to do that. Some of you have learned how to consolidate your loans, how to refinance and pay off higher interest debt. I guarantee you that's going to cost you more money. Don't do that. Dave Ramsey says, get a 15-year mortgage. If you can't afford a 15-year mortgage, then you can't afford your loan. Don't ever get a 15-year mortgage. Never do that. That is some of the worst advice ever. How about having 6 to 12 months of cash sitting in the bank for emergencies, or an emergency fund of 6 to 12 months of so that you can be able to pay expenses, your bills. Folks, there's a cheaper way to do that, as opposed to keeping all of that cash sitting in the bank, waiting for something that may never go wrong, when you could leverage some of that cash to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest you don't have to pay the bank. There are cheaper ways to help you in times of need, in times when things go wrong, when you get laid off, or you get downsized from a job temporarily. You want to be able to continue to pay your bills. There are many ways to work that out. But folks, keeping 6 to 12 months worth of cash idle on the sidelines in a bank account making 0.1%, that is worse than burying it in the sand. I'm not saying don't have an emergency fund. I'm just saying there is a different way, a better way to do it. All right. So listen, I've been here about an hour. I want to thank you for showing up today. We want to come back more with other subjects. Go ahead and email us at info@thepillmethod.com about shows that you want to see. And I would like to have more people come on our channel with us live to ask more questions live. Okay. We want to set that up for you so that you can come in and talk to us live. We'll put you right on the screen. Now, some of you don't want to be put on the screen. That's okay. We'll just put your audio on so that you can ask your question. So I'm about to get out of here. I'm looking for any questions. All right. I'm not seeing any questions in our chat. Okay. We're not seeing any questions there. So maybe next time you'll have some questions, have more questions for me. But I want to be here to support you and give you the information you deserve. So don't forget, P.I.L.L Method book on Amazon. Don't forget, get a savings and earnings report, okay? So that you can know the month, day, and year you can be debt free. You can go to our website, or you can download my digital business card at ceodon.com and click on the link, get a savings and earnings report. You can also reach out. All of my information, our social media is on that digital business card as well, ceodon.com. All right, make sure you get it. And I guess that's going to be it for today, but we'll be back. We'll be back this week. And on the days that we're not doing a live, catch one of our valuable replays. We are going to be here 6 days a week, helping you to help yourself. My name is Don Daniel. I'm founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. I am your interest cancellation expert, and they call me ICE for short. See you later.